Welcome, everybody, to the latest edition of the Bullpen with Adam the Bull, brought to you by Bet Rivers. We are joined this week by Mary Kay Cabot at Cleveland.com. She joins us every other week. It's great to have her. And we're going to talk with Mary Kay in just a sec. But first, I want to let you know that Bet Rivers players who place a same-game parlay of at least $10 on NFL or NCAA football games will receive an entry into the weekly Squares game. Winning Squares can earn up to a $50 bonus bet per entry. See the Bet Rivers app or website for full details. Hello, Mary Kay. How are you this morning?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'd be doing better if it wasn't so cold. But, I really shouldn't complain. That's the time of the year. What are you going to do? But I don't know if you find this to be the case, but I feel like the older I get, the less I can stand the cold.
Well, I do find that to be true.
Yeah.
So I have to work hard to bundle up and make sure. I went out to practice each of the last 2 days.
Yeah.
And, had to stand out there in that freezing cold.
Oh.
And, I'm not complaining. Of course, I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
But it is very chilly to stand out there. I wonder how those guys are out there for that whole hour and a half just freezing. Some of them don't even have, like the long pants or the long sleeves on. So,
Right.
It's been cold.
Especially with, I don't know if you've talked to guys about this, like the guys who are, have never played in cold weather, who are, from Texas, California, Florida, maybe they never played in college in this weather. When it comes to this time of the year, that first year, and we got a lot of first-year guys here, that's got to be a shock to the system for some of these guys.
It has to be, because cold is cold. Even if you're running around out there, they don't really like to admit it, but they do get cold. There's no question about it.
Mary Kay, let's start with Myles Garrett, because it could happen this week. As crazy as that seems to be, Myles Garrett has had such a dominant season. The Titans are the worst team in football. They have probably the worst offensive line. I think they've given up the most sacks. Dan Moore, who's the left tackle, we know what Myles Garrett gave him nightmares when he was in Pittsburgh. I don't think it's impossible to think that he could get 4 sacks this week and break the record with 4 weeks to go. You think that's a reasonable possibility?
Yes, it's certainly possible. And I bet the Browns are going to try to make it happen, because they want it to happen at home, I'm sure, and they want it to happen in a victory. And that is the best time to do it, is Sunday afternoon, as you mentioned, against probably the worst offensive line in the NFL. They've given up. Cam Ward has been sacked 48 times. That's a league high. There have been multiple times where he's been sacked 6 times in a football game. So this is certainly a day in which Myles can set the record, shatter that record held by Michael Strahan and matched by TJ Watt, 22.5. And I wouldn't be surprised if it happens on Sunday.
It is crazy. Like, it's not supposed to be reasonable to think a player can get 4 sacks in a game, but he's already done it 4 or more twice. So the way he's playing, I think we were talking in the past, if we had a conversation like, could he get 4 sacks? You'd never really consider that, but it just seems like, no big deal. It's Myles Garrett.
Right. And the only way that doesn't happen is if you see a team like the 49ers, and that has a great left tackle, a future Hall of Fame left tackle like Trent Williams, and then they commit extra resources to Myles, and then you also quick snap, quick release that ball, just super quick release. That's the formula. Double teams, chips, and a super quick release. And those are the ways that you can slow down Myles Garrett. And I don't see any of those things happening on Sunday.
Mary Kay, Malik Collins was having a tremendous season, maybe the best free agent signing of Andrew Berry's tenure. Certainly one of the best. The guy's been sensational. Unfortunately, he gets this quad injury. He's out for the rest of the year. He was leading the league in sacks amongst defensive tackles. How big a loss is this for Myles Garrett and the Browns in general?
I think it's huge, and I'm very curious to see how it impacts Myles and the whole line on Sunday. Now, we're not going to get a good gauge of it this Sunday, once again, because this is not a good offensive line. But when you start to go against a couple of teams that are a little bit better than this, then I think you're going to feel the impact of not having Malik Collins out there. I think Myles Garrett knows he owes a lot of those 19 sacks to Malik Collins and the tremendous work that he's done inside this season. And I think they're going to feel the pinch at some point as they move forward here. Now, they're deep, but they also have some injuries going on the other parts of the defensive line. Isaiah McGuire was limited yesterday, and Alex Wright is trying to come back from a quad injury. So if you don't have Isaiah, Alex, or Malik, then you're starting to get into your depth a little bit, and it's a little bit different. Again, I don't think it'll show up this week, but it probably will soon.
Speaking of defense, obviously those injuries are a factor. One guy who was not injured, of course, is the rookie second-round pick Carson Schlesinger. ESPN put out their top 10 rookie rankings yesterday or 2 days ago, and he was number one, all offense, defense combined. This is one of the biggest hits the Browns have had. I mean, how many rookies have had the kind of impact for the Browns that Carson Schlesinger has had?
Yeah, he's been tremendous. I mean, even Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah in his rookie year did not pop like this and did not adapt to the game. It took him a while to figure out where he was and what he was doing. And he had a different defensive coordinator, and Jim Schwartz really understands what to do with Carson Schlesinger and how to make him just maximize his potential. But he's been tremendous. I think he's playing at an all-pro level, not just a great rookie level. I think he is probably one of the best linebackers in the NFL this season. And what a gem he was. When he was drafted in the second round at number 33, we all kind of were like, who? you know, I mean, we didn't really know very much about him. And what a gem of a draft pick this is. It's been tremendous.
It's crazy because he wasn't even a starter at the beginning of his senior year of college. It's just hard to believe how good this guy. I look at him, I'm like, how was he not a superstar until the end of his college career? It's so weird, but
I know,
it's unbelievable.
I have a feeling he's just going to become a fan favorite. With what we're seeing now, I see many, many Pro Bowls and all pros in his future, and who knows where that can lead him.
I agree. Another rookie on this list was Quinshon Judkins. He came as the 8th best rookie according to ESPN. Obviously, he's hindered by the fact that the Browns' offense is not very good, but he's still got a very good shot to get 1,000 yards and maybe 10 touchdowns as a rookie. I think even though the yards per carry overall aren't impressive, I think you watch the game and it's like the offensive line is not good and they know they don't have a passing threat. But when this team gets better around them, I think Judkins says the sky's the limit to how good he can be. Do you agree?
Oh, I agree 100%. And who would have thought that you could have a rookie come in here and ease the pain of losing Nick Chubb?
Great point.
And he has done that as a rookie. And as you mentioned, he hasn't even scratched the surface yet. He really hasn't scratched the surface yet because of those reasons that you mentioned. They really have stacked boxes that he's running against. That's hurting the average. And they've had problems on the offensive line to the point where they are now rotating Wyatt Teller when he's healthy with Tevin Jenkins. So, once they get a better push and some better blocking up front, I think Quinshon's going to be dynamite. And once they get a passing game, I do think that the sky is the limit for him.
You expect him to have a big game this week against Tennessee?
I do. I think this is going to be a game where a lot of people can cook. A lot of players on this Cleveland Browns team are going to really have some of their best performances. I don't think the Titans are going to pose much of a threat whatsoever. And I think it's an opportunity for Shedeur to look good, for maybe Jeudy to get back on track a little bit, for David Njoku to get some catches. So, I think it's going to be a feel-good game.
Dylan Sampson's been banged up. Are we expecting him to miss this game?
Not too sure yet. He's been day-to-day, so we'll have to see if he's going to get out there. I think he was limited yesterday again, and but I mean, if he doesn't, they can get around that. And again, this is a game where I think they can have a nice, robust game plan and a good running game even without him. But as they move along, I think it's going to be cool to see the 1-2 punch between Quinshon and Dylan.
You mentioned Shedeur and Jerry Jeudy. Obviously, a lot was made of their interaction on the sideline when Jeudy was looked like he was yelling at him. I've heard other players say, like, maybe we're making a little too big a deal about this. These things happen as emotions on the sideline. What's your thoughts on this after you've heard what guys have had to say since then?
Well, I do think that these things happen in football. I've seen it many, many, many times. These guys are passionate. It's the heat of the moment. And so it's not unusual to see sideline confrontations. Mm-hmm. But I think the thing that made this stand out a little bit is the fact that even though we didn't ask Shedeur about it after the game, because I didn't see it until after the game.
Right.
We didn't ask him about it, but he talked a lot about, that he needs to get his timing down with Jerry and he has to learn to trust his receivers. And he was basically trying to say, I don't trust him. And we aren't seeing things. We're not on the same page. Mm-hmm. I expect him to be somewhere and he's not there. And I think the fact that he said all of those things after the game, it really shined a light on what happened during the game.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. I mean, obviously he hasn't had a lot of time, especially with Jeudy. Some of the receivers he's played with in practice, some of the guys, as they go deeper down the depth chart. But, Jeudy was never practicing with anything but the first team, unlike some of the other guys. So, yeah, these things do take time. You referenced what happened with Wyatt Teller. I'm guessing Wyatt Teller was not really happy with that. What did you think of that? Is it justified, or were you scratching your head about it?
Well, I mean, we've known that there have been issues on the offensive line, but I hadn't really taken the time to individually study the tape of each offensive lineman to know. All you have to do is really look at the PFF grades to know that he was down in the late 60s. He was something like 67 last week, whereas Joel Bitonio is up at 12. And those things don't always correspond to what the Browns think about their players. But Kevin was pretty vocal about the fact that this was something that they thought would help bring out the best in Wyatt. So, and then Joel Bitonio yesterday said that the news had to be devastating to Wyatt Teller, and he would know because they're really good friends. They've been together for a long, long time. So I'm sure the news was devastating. We've seen family members weigh in on it and everything. So, so I think it had to be really tough. Now he's got the calf injury, and once again, his contract is up. So I think this is something that he's going to have to be looking at and talking to the Browns about, and having his agent talk to the Browns about, and see if he has a future here.
Mary Kay, you've made it clear that you think the Browns should stick with Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski. If they do you think that Bubba Ventrone gets the axe after how bad the special teams have been this year?
You never know. Sometimes the coordinators do take the fall. But I asked Bubba Ventrone yesterday about how do you feel about the support you're getting from the organization. And he said he thinks that the organization understands that he's working with a lot of really young players, that he lost his returner in training camp, DeAndre Carter, to a knee injury, and they've been trying to patch that together since then, and that they don't really have that enforcer on teams. They just don't have that Mike Ford Pro Bowl special teams ace kind of a guy, or the kind of guy that Bubba Ventrone was. He admitted that. I asked him point blank, do you have that guy? And he said, no, I don't think we have that guy. And they need to find that person. And they also need to just work through some of the rookie problems. Now, if you look through at some of these issues, they've had to do with rookies like Gage Larvidan muffing that punt. Of course, he was a rookie. And then some of the breakdowns in punt coverage have been, young guys or veterans who are just being plugged in there. So I don't know. I don't know if he'll take the fall for it or not, or if they will give him a pass. And even though now I do think that Andrew Berry is safe, obviously, because of this rookie class that we just talked about and how hard he's worked on the quarterback class coming up. I think Kevin is safe, but I can't say that for sure. Okay. I really don't know. I think he does deserve a chance to work with a quarterback that can win football games instead of rookies. I mean, it's an occupational hazard to coach rookie quarterbacks. We've seen that this season with Brian Daboll. We've seen it with Brian Callahan. A lot of times when you're on a team that's trying to get it together and you have a rookie quarterback, the coach takes the fall for that. So I don't know what Jimmy is thinking, but I do feel like Kevin should have a chance to work with a good quarterback.
Do you think there's going to be another rookie next year? I mean, at this point, isn't it more likely than not that they would draft a quarterback with their first round pick?
I'll tell you what, I would be running to the up to the podium with the card with a quarterback on it. There's no way I'm not drafting a quarterback with the first round pick. I don't think, no matter what Shedeur Sanders does in these last 5 games, I don't think you can know definitively that he is the guy. So I would be now. I don't know how this is all going to shake out with how the Browns feel about these quarterbacks coming out in this class, but I would be aiming as high as I could and grab the best quarterback that I could with one or both of their first round picks. If you have to trade up with the second one, do whatever you have to do and get the best quarterback that you can possibly get out of this class and then go from there.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think especially, I'm not certainly an expert at breaking down college quarterbacks, but from the people I've spoken to who are, especially if Fernando Mendoza, the Indiana quarterback, if he plays great against this great Ohio State defense this weekend, I think a lot of people are going to be buzzing about him. I mean, they already are. But I agree with you. I think if the Browns, because the Browns are probably not going to have the number one pick. If they beat Tennessee, they definitely won't. They'll probably end up somewhere around 5. But if Tennessee and the Giants end up 1-2, neither needs a quarterback. So I was I guess concerned that the backfire of the Watson trade might make them hesitant to make another big trade for a quarterback. But it seems like you don't think that's the case.
No, I don't think that's the case. I think that if they really like what they see, then I think they'll be very aggressive and go up and grab that player. And I think that they should absolutely do that. Now, Fernando Mendoza, I mean, he's probably not going to be easily attainable for the Cleveland Browns because they are probably going to fall a little bit and they would really have to do some maneuvering to get to him. But maybe there's somebody else that they like even better than Fernando.
That's true.
Mendoza.
Possible.
So, yeah, we don't really know yet. And it'll be interesting because I will go to the Senior Bowl and I'll go to some of the other things, maybe some pro days or whatever. And then you really start to get a feel for how these quarterbacks are getting ranked by the NFL teams, not just by the NFL drafters.
Yeah. That led to so many fans and media members too judge drafts based on mock drafts, which is crazy. And that's why the whole insanity over Shedeur, because the mock drafts had him high, and obviously the NFL community didn't look at him the same way. Fair or not, that's just the way it is.
Oh, there's no question about it. And that was one of the biggest shockers to me, just how the NFL community viewed Shedeur Sanders. Because I did go to the showcase at Colorado and I did talk to people about him heading into the draft. And there was a general consensus amongst a lot of people that these guys were number 1 and number 2, Cam Ward and Shedeur. And even if the Browns didn't want him at number 2, I certainly thought he would go somewhere in the first round.
Right.
So that was a very big surprise to me.
Yeah. I want to get back to the coaching staff for a second because let's say they bring it back. Let's say they bring everybody back. Is Tommy Rees the play caller, you think, to start the season next year?
I think so. I think they really like what Tommy is bringing to the table. And if Kevin sticks around, I think they like him more in that overseer CEO role. I think that they want to give Tommy a chance. And I think they also recognize that they would have to give Tommy a chance to do that because he will be in demand, I think, on the college circuit for sure, and maybe in other areas.
Just a couple quick injury updates. We've talked about some, Mary Kay, but I just wanted a couple of things. I know Jack Conklin hasn't practiced this week. He's with the concussion. Devin Bush hasn't practiced this week. What's the status of those guys as far as you know as of now?
Well, with the concussion protocol, you never know when a guy is going to get sprung from that. So I think we have to plan for the inevitability of
you got it
of Jack perhaps not playing
probably
this weekend against his former team. So we'll have to see how that goes. But once again, this is except for Jeffrey Simmons on their defensive line. And Arden Key. I mean, they do have some good defenders and some good pass rushers, but this is a game where you can probably do without a Jack Conklin if you had to. Not going to be easy, but if they had to, they could probably live without him there because at this point, I don't know if he's going to make it back. And then Devin Bush, we'll have to see about Devin Bush. He's had a really nice season too. He's flown under the radar. And, the Browns really kind of picked him back up off the mat and put him back as a very viable and good, solid linebacker.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's a good point because, obviously Schlesinger as the rookie is getting all the hype, deservedly so. We talked about him earlier. But Devin Bush, who kind of seemed like he'd been a bust, is having his best year this year. No doubt it's working out nicely in the second year in Jim Schwartz's system. Mary Kay, great stuff as always. Enjoy the game this weekend. Try not to freeze, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot, Bull.
Thanks, Mary Kay Cabot, Cleveland.com. Always great chatting with her right here in the bullpen with Adam the Bull. We'll talk to you next time. Thanks to Z and Max for producing for the bullpen. I'm Adam the Bull, brought to you by Bet Rivers. See you, everybody.